necessarily been forming up to either yourself or wide receiver coach Ward's liking. What necessarily can you necessarily address about that? And do you feel like everyone, at least on your unit, at least performed up to capabilities ready to go for Saturday?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's going to be instances in every practice where, you guys just happen to be maybe an earshot of some of it or not. But there's going to be opportunities in every practice where if the expectations aren't met, that you set the standard. And I think that that may be it may be something that some may look at and subjectively say, hey, it was all right, but we're trying to set a new level of precedence in regards to how to do things, and I think that's every day, win, lose, or draw. And I think the one thing that dealing with success has to do is come out every day and make sure that you understand the expectations are still at that highness, that standard.
What were you most pleased with Sam in his first game?
Yeah, I mean, for your first start to go out and just being able to function and be smart and to be tough, to understand, to take care of the football, to manage the situations. Again, it was our entire offense's first time together, from play calling it together and talking over it and working through situations and playing against an opponent. And so I was really, really excited about the growth that we were able to move forward with and build on from training camp and spring ball and summer, and to see him execute and be calm and poised and do some things that put you in position to win a game.
When you beat an opponent the way that you guys did last weekend, how do you build off of that, right? Because it's easy to take away what you guys did great, but how do you pinpoint to the things that needs to be corrected when it's such lopsided win? Yeah,
no, I think you do this long enough, and you probably become the alternative to that. And you find every little sticky thing you can. You got to be careful of not celebrating at all, because there's some really good things that you did, and I think that probably the older you get in doing this, the better you get. Kind of like parenting, you got to celebrate the victories and the good stuff. You can't always just beat things up. So, but I think the reality of it is there's always going to be something in there that you can take away from it. I think there's things I took away from it. I took a role in some of the things that we did that I didn't like, and I was disappointed with myself, that I got to get better at. There's a couple things that we as a group understood that we can all tie in together with. So, I mean, there's something in every game. There's too many moving pieces in this game to have it perfectly clean. So the score will always take care of itself, regardless of what the number comes out. You just got to make sure that you understand how you got there and what you need to do to fix other things.
Coach, what can you say? Also, Greg Moore, Arizona Republic, good to see you.
Thank you.
All right. What can you say about your running back depth, and how important will that be this week?
Yeah, no, it's huge. We talked about that a little bit as we got into training camp, and even as we got here, the depth at that position is pretty special. To be able to roll guys in and not have to think about, for me, if I'm worried about protection, if I'm worried about certain guys in certain roles. Now, there's some instances like that are like really small, but as a whole, I mean, the group goes in and it's seamless. I mean, it's just a tough group that understands how to take care of the football. They run hard. They know their job. There's very few critical errors in those guys. And so, I mean, that's just a really good stable. We've been in a couple places in the last 10 years, and over my career, we've had some pretty special backs that are all played and still playing, some of them. This group right here is pretty special. And there's 3 or 4 guys in the rotation, and shoot, one of them's not even back yet. So really, really deep room, really, really special room, really unselfish group. That's probably the biggest thing too. It's really hard nowadays to kind of get that 4 or 5 guys who always never are saying I. It's always a we thing, and so pretty cool.
For being your first game though, as OC, like, how did the blocking and protections and assignment execution all look to you?
Yeah, there was some really good execution. There was I think for the first time of these guys being together, like, I think you do this long enough, you go in it with expectations saying, okay, there's going to be some stuff that's going to be sloppy. There's some things maybe that we don't have to communicate tied up together just because it's the first time lights, first time hearing it. And for the most part, I think, we try to treat practice the same way, and I wanted to see practice come out in the game, and it did. And these guys communicated well. We're really aggressive in the way we approach the standards and the way we approach the detail. And that stuff came out in game day. And I think practice performance equals game reality is kind of one of the things we preach on. And you kind of saw that on Saturday, which is nice. So now you got to stack those. One time is a flash in the pan. Now you got to stack things up, stack practices, and really continue to press on, because you got a big-time opponent this week.
How good Mississippi State is on the back end? How important is it for you guys to establish the run and get them to pack the box?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously a really talented football team. They're tough, well-coached. They got a good group, a good coaching staff that's there. They've got a new energy, a new juice, and I think both sides of the ball are going to give us everything we got. I mean, on the edge, they're on the perimeter, they got some real guys. And so being able to run the football effectively in any game is really kind of our mantra, our identity. as we saw last week, starting last week. So being able to put guys down in the box to be able to take advantage of the guys in the perimeter is going to be something that give those guys a one-on-one situation if we can get to that. And if they don't get to that, then we got to be able to do it in other ways. And so I can't dictate what they're going to do. We can just dictate what we're going to do. But they're a very, very, very tough group. Excited about playing them.
How interesting was it that their defensive coordinator, with his background, they seemed to do things that were different than that in their first game?
Yeah, I mean, you never know what that's about. You never know if it's a change-up package, if it's because of injuries, if it's because of something you thought you'd go into that maybe was his background, but they've come to some kumbaya in regards to what they really believe in. That's maybe harder on offense. You never know when guys go back and they study a little bit. Maybe they want to be something else. I'm not sure. All I can do is check the tape, have a little bit of background, and try to do a little advance on what he was, what they saw, what I saw versus Eastern Kentucky, and then try to put a package together. Off one game gets kind of hard, but we'll see. We might have to make a lot of on-field adjustments.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Like when he's only called plays for
Yeah.
one game.
Yeah, one game, pretty lopsided, so you don't know how much more is left in the bag. I'm sure there's plenty. You're gonna have to make a lot of in-game adjustments, which will be fun, exciting, and to see our guys be able to do that, and handle it, and us as a staff to do it. You know.
Very good. You guys
Cool.
got some more.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.